Hello, everyone, and we are back with another interview. Today we have Wynn Charles as our guest, who's here to talk to us all about her candid snapshot of surviving emotional abuse and overcoming caregiver abuse. So, Wynn, we are so happy to have you here, sharing your story and talking so openly about this. And I'd love for you to just take a moment to introduce yourself to everyone.
Good morning. My name is Wynn, and I have a neurological condition called cerebral palsy. And sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's good. And I just want to make one thing clear before we start. My stepmom, my stepsister, nor my living aide did any of the emotional / physical abuse. And so just to make that clear, that in my case, none of my primary caregivers, including my aide, did the emotional or physical abuse.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget that it can be other people on the outside, especially when we hear about topics. Even if we look into elder abuse, it's always showing the child or the caseworker or the care worker. So I think you have a really unique perspective there. And I'm wondering if you could share with folks what were some of the signs that you began to recognize that this is emotional abuse?
Well, I was very, 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 very lucky that in my 13 years of education, I was trained to spot physical abuse in a child / emotional abuse in a child.
Yeah.
So when it happened to me, I knew I was getting abused. And when it happened to me, I knew exactly what was going on. I've been trained enough to know what's going on, how to spot it. But at the same time, in my case, I had one person 15 feet away from me. Well, she was in the next room. I had another person on in my living room. I had another person upstairs in my master bedroom taking a shower. So therefore, the reason why I gave that example is because 9 times out of 10, the abuser won't let the abuse go get help. So even if I said to the person that was 15 feet away from me, help, I'm being abused, which was my plan. My plan was to go into my bathroom and close the door and send a group text message to say call 911 when I'm being abused. But over time of me learning about this, I have learned that when a abuser is on field tilt, I the abuser won't let the abuser go. And unfortunately, my abuser had a witness to her abuse. Um, my other aunt was a witness to aunt number one doing the abuse. And so all I remember is all I remember is them emotionally abusing me. I don't even remember them sticking me in the shower against my will. I remember coming back into my bedroom, them still emotionally abusing me, but them sticking a camera in a place where it shouldn't be stuck. Let's just put it that way. And yeah. And then I remember my aide was on, well, my aide was standing there at this point, shaking the most. And my aide, my stepmom came and tried to comfort me. I'm like, yeah, because at this point I was in tears.
Of
At
course.
this point I was in tears because yeah. And then to top it off, we we went to dinner. Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah.
Going to dinner right after you've been abused, not happening. And so yeah, to because my abuser thought that she did nothing wrong. So yeah, well, and my stepmom keeps saying, she'll say to this day to me, and it's been a year that I've been dealing with this. She'll say to this day to me, "Oh, I'm sorry they abused me. I'm sorry they abused you. I'm sorry they abused you." I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. They just wanted you out of here, my aide out of here, my stepsister out of here. And the funny thing was, in, well, I hadn't seen these people in 9 years. And the funny thing was, my stepmom and my dad always used to get in arguments about me seeing these people. And my stepdad, because the emotional abuse actually started 10 years ago, right after my mom died. And because it came from both her sisters, I mean, my abuser called me lazy and white trash and left me crying in the bathtub. She called me lazy because I asked for help due to my cerebral palsy. And it's like, no. And so my stepmom, on the other hand, said, "Well, I want these people to be in Wynn's life. I want Wynn's family to be Wynn's family after mom dies." Well, my dad goes, "No, that's not happening. No, that's not happening." And my stepmom goes, "Why?" And I just patiently waited, and said, well, the one of the reasons why I said yes is yes to them coming out, right after my dad died, is because I thought they were going to come out here, realize my dad died, and then have a family meeting with my aide too,
Yep.
and say, how could we help raise Win?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to happen. Oh no. Oh no. My aunt went on full tilt, and then my other aunt goes, "Well, how in the world did your dad get diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer? We missed stage 1, we missed stage 3, we missed stage 2, we missed stage 3, we made it all the way to stage 4." And I'm like, okay, this is how we start the conversation. Hello? No, not even 2 minutes. Not even they were in my house 2 minutes. They said that, and I'm like, hello to you too. I haven't seen you in 9 years. You come out here to do a welfare check on me and stick your noses where they're not wanted. And so, what the two tell signs to me was that um, my aunt, Normally, I leave my bedroom door open unless people ask, do you want this bedroom door open? Do you want it closed? Normally, I have it open. And so the telltale signs of me getting abused were when a door closes behind me without them asking.
Yeah, I think although that's a real situation, I think that's a metaphor for losing control of aspects of your life, the things that you were doing for your normal routine. And it's really evident how trauma blocks out some of the memories in your story, in your journey, and really has affected some of those greater relationships. And it's just the loss. I think we talk a lot about grief and loss here as to how this sparks things, because if your dad was alive, it's easy to say this wouldn't have happened, or if your mom was alive, maybe this wouldn't have been the situation. And I'm wondering, in the face of grief and loss, how were you able to grieve and accept that it wasn't the fault of um, your parents who had passed away?
I had a very, very, very good supportive team. I was dealing with something else at the time that I was lucky enough to go to counseling. And I don't know what possessed me this particular day. I think this was at the beginning of my counseling journey, and I've been in solid counseling once a week for a year now, and it's helped, and it's helping a lot actually. And so, um, but I don't know what possessed me to answer this one particular question that I answered like this. My counselor, who knew I had a disability, who knew I was in grief counseling, I don't know why they call it that, but because it's more than grief counseling, it's counseling of the mind and it's
Yep.
counseling in a safe space. But um, I counselor knew I had a disability because uh, she was told that. Um, and so I don't know what possessed me to say, yes, I feel, she asked me, do I feel safe at home? And I said, yes, I feel safe at home, but here's what's going on.
Yep.
I complete my counseling session. I go home with my aide and I show up that next week and my aide drops me off and I walk out into the waiting room of my counselor's office and I don't see my aide. And so I'm like, okay, this is strange. This is not strange. She may be in the bathroom. She may be on the phone. She may be on the phone downstairs. But and then a complete stranger to me walks up to me and says, I don't ever forget it. He says, you're, he didn't even say your age. He says, you're drivers in adult protective services. And I'm like,
Okay.
oh boy, here we go. Because me saying I do feel safe at home, but went on. Here's what went on. She, my counselor, reported it, and so my poor aide had to go in to adult protective services before I did on my behalf. And it was funny because my stepmom got a call before we did. And my stepmom goes, go ahead, but what are you guys doing? And then it all went down. And so, and yeah, but all our stories matched up to what we saw, we heard, we witnessed. My abuser, when Adult Protective Services finally called my abuser and her witness at the end of the case, her witness being my aunt, who didn't
Mm-hmm.
stop this monkey business. And when they finally called my abuser's like, next, what did I do wrong? I did nothing wrong. Whereas my aunt knew that she did something wrong and wanted to be a little bit more remorseful and have a little bit more compassion.
Yeah. I'm so sorry that this happened to you, and you were so brave in order to share your story with your counselor and to continue to share your story, and you've overcome it in such a beautiful and brave way, and you made this big transition in your life right now. And before we end today, I was just wondering if you could share that transition and give some folks who are listening to this hope out there that it does get better, we can make changes in our life.
Well, I was very, 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 very lucky that I had a very supportive team, including my stepmom, including my stepsister, even though my stepmom keeps saying I am sorry they abused you, but and when she held me literally in her arms, she kept night night it happened. The afternoon it happened slash the evening it happened. She said everything is gonna be alright. I'm like, I looked at my aide sideways. My aide probably looks at me in tears, and and she goes, no, I'm thinking, no, everything is not gonna be okay. No, everything is not gonna be okay. My stepmom was trying to do the Mausolean things of everything is gonna be okay. But I am lucky that I came out when I did, and I'm lucky that I uh the way God, pardon me for mentioning God, but the way God set my emotional abuse up, I'm lucky that not only the abusers were here, but 3 witnesses were um, were there as well. And so I feel like, and without the support of all my amazing team, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. I would be on ground. I would be on the ground enough so you guys wouldn't hear me. But I, people tell me if I was left alone with my abusers um, at the house, I I would have landed up in the emergency room because they would have broken not only my spirit but broken my bones.
Yeah, you are an incredibly lucky human being, and I always speak about belief as being like the greater universe, and I think the universe
Yeah,
put you
yeah.
here for a reason.
The universe set my emotional abuse up the way it did. I mean, I, ugh, I'm sorry, but it just did. So my main point being is it's not necessarily the main caregivers that abuse. It could be aunt walking in just to do a welfare check and just to do something that an aunt that you haven't seen in 9 years, or a friend, or something to that effect.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you could share with folks what you've been doing with your time these days. Your
My
journalism
my
and
time,
book. Yeah.
my time, which has been eaten by journalism. Yeah, my time has been eaten by a podcast, Ask Win, which I need to get you on the podcast as
We'll
well.
definitely be there.
And so my time has been eaten by school, and my time has been eaten by doing 3 podcasts, one called The Amazing Voices of Teachers, and the other one called The Artwork of CP, which is the artwork of CP, all about cerebral palsy. And then the one I'm most known for is Ask Win, which is my interview based show, which a lot of my fan base, and they've been very supportive too, they know what's going on. And if you guys go listen to the episode called IT, and that is on the artwork of CP. And we did that episode way back, and I should probably give my fan base update on that. But we called it because it happened, and it is here to stay, and it left some emotional and physical scars.
Yep.
And so you guys can go listen to that. And yeah, and I'm always looking for people who want to share their stories, whether it's recovering from emotional, physical, sexual abuse, solo entrepreneurship, and all that good stuff on Ask Win. If you guys go to askwin.webelize.com, you guys can find more information there.
Perfect. We'll be putting all those links in the description here on YouTube, and we'll put the links to that in the comments on our Facebook page as well. Thank you so much, Wen, for doing this and being so vulnerable and sharing your story. We really appreciate you, myself, my team, and I'm sure the viewers listening to this as well really appreciate you sharing this.
Thank you. And you guys are welcome to DM me. I have more services than you know what to deal with. And so if you guys are stuck in that position of emotional, physical, sexual abuse, use me as your scapegoat, so to speak, because as I said, in my case, and in most cases in general, the abuser won't let the abuser go. So if you guys can give me a cold word in general, or if you guys just want to talk to a person who won't say I'm sorry, who will actually do something, uh, then I would be honored and blessed enough to help you guys out.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Wen. That is a kind offer, and we'll let folks know in the comments how to reach you. All right, everyone, that is the end of our interview for today. I hope you all learned a lot about emotional abuse beyond what you already knew. And if Win has validated any of your experiences, feel free to check out Win's information down below. And again, you can always find us and me. I'm Alicia at EAG Innovation. And you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. We are putting out more interviews each week, every Saturday and Tuesday. Have a lovely day, everyone.